ERC, quality service since 1972. Repairing TVs, console stereos, electronic musical instruments, pinball machines, arcade games, and more. Call 836-0454.
This is the Weather Xtreme video. This is for Tuesday morning, the 6th day of January, 2009. James Spann here. And pretty interesting setup. We've got the dual threat of heavy rain and severe weather for parts of the state today, and maybe some really cold weather next week. Let's get right to it and talk about it. In the short term, some Skycam images around the network at the somewhat insane hour of 5 o'clock this morning. There's a look at downtown Birmingham. Coming from the Skycam on top of the Daniel building, where 2 inches of rain has been measured since it all started yesterday. In fact, well over 2 inches. Kind of keeping the Birmingham Metro theme, that's the Inverness Skycam in Shelby County looking out over Highway 280. Hey, nobody out there at this hour of the day. But that will change, won't it? And also in Shelby County, that's our Skycam on the beautiful campus of the University of Montevallo, where the rain is tapered off as the rain shifts northward with that warm front this morning. The front itself is near Interstate 59 this morning. Strong subtropical jet stream showing up just north of that with the heavier rain. Down to the south, the air will be getting unstable today, and we wonder if we could see severe weather. It's a case where the better chance of the heavy rain and flooding will be to the north, and maybe the better chance of severe weather to the south. But again, both those elements are certainly on the table today. In the upper levels, there's that screaming subtropical jet stream rolling through the deep south. And, of course, with the upper air pattern like that, cold air is not going to get in here today. In fact, it's going to be pretty mild. Temperatures have been rising during the night, and everybody will be well up in the 60s today, and some folks might even approach 70 later today if the sun can peek out. There's the radar this morning, and again, you can pretty much pick out your warm front there because the rain is along and north of that warm front boundary. The warm front, again, roughly along Interstate 20. Here's a look at the rain storm total coming from the next rad, and that kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it? What a good beneficial rain this has been. Widespread rains of 1 to 3 inches across North Alabama, and accordingly, a flash flood watch continues in effect. You'll see in a moment. There's a look at temperatures, and again, you can see how the numbers have been rising steadily. In fact, they're considerably warmer since they were at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon in many spots. The Shoals up to 48. Birmingham at 59, Anniston and Alabaster clearly in the warm sector. Both of those sites are at 66 degrees and upper 60s down south over Alexander City and Montgomery. Now, there's your flash flood watch areas. Well, the whole watch warning map. But the flash flood watch area is running from North Louisiana up through a large chunk of central and north Mississippi, North Alabama, again along and north of Interstate 20, and then up into middle and eastern Tennessee. And all of the yellow counties to the north, those are winter weather advisories. Actually had an ice storm warning for a while for some of the northwestern Tennessee counties last night. But again, they have warmed up in Memphis, so it's basically an issue from Little Rock up to Indianapolis and over to Pittsburgh. And there is an ice storm warning for parts of Pennsylvania, right around the Philadelphia area there. Now, here's a look at the QPF graphic. This is the expected rain valid through through Saturday evening at 6 o'clock. And, of course, we think that'll verify because already we've seen rains of 1 to 3 inches here, but that's suggesting a bullseye of about 5 inches up there just below Chattanooga, Tennessee. And in terms of the severe weather potential, there's a slight risk of severe weather today, basically for the southern two-thirds of the state. And it's not a classic setup here. I don't think this will be some big red-letter day, but we could see some strong storms later, as you'll see. And a quick peek at the instability this morning, well, there is none. This is the surface-based Cape and a little circle of 500 down there around Atmore and Bruton, and that's about it. But we'll see if that can change as the daytime heating process begins. This is the OZGFS valid at noon today. And you can see our dynamic trough back off to the west. Below that, heaviest rain should be along and north of that warm frontal boundary. And again, we think a pretty good chunk of the day today could be dry from Birmingham south, with the better rains continuing over the northern third, north of US 278. And it's going to be kind of breezy and warming up well into the 60s, maybe flirting with 70 in some areas around Montgomery today. And then tonight, the whole pattern shifts on in here. Look at the standard severe weather parameters. There's a look at the surface-based CAPE values coming off the NAM. And they look pretty decent now on this run. These are higher values than we have seen. This is suggesting the instability could reach 1,000 joules down around Selma by mid to late afternoon. And the helicity values are, of course, sky high. They've been sky high. This is the 0 to 3 kilometer helicity with the bullseye up over North Alabama. But it's a case where the higher helicity values are to the north, the better capes are down to the south. There could be a little sweet spot somewhere in there where we could see a few strong to severe storms. And obviously, in that kind of sheared environment, you have to watch out for any storms showing signs of rotation. Seems like the better chance of severe weather would probably be from 3 o'clock until 9 o'clock, something like that. So just keep an eye on things. We'll do that. These type situations can always be difficult to handle in that the storms are often low top. They're not like the big storms of spring, but we will be watching the radar like a hawk. Then tomorrow, the upper trough rotates through here. That looks pretty cold. And again, some suggestion maybe of a few patches of drizzle tomorrow morning. It's going to be a breezy and cold day. We'll probably drop into the 40s and settle in there, probably hanging somewhere between 45 and 50 all day. Thursday, in the upper levels, note that vortex rotating through the Tennessee Valley. We're calling it partly sunny, and really the air's pretty dry, but that's suggesting that could squeeze out a few raindrops or maybe even a few snowflakes near the Alabama-Tennessee border Thursday morning. We're not going to mention that. We'll just say partly sunny, and we can adjust that as need be, but there will be some clouds around Thursday. And then Friday looks like a sunny day with temperatures approaching 60 by Friday afternoon. Should be a nice day. Then Saturday, here comes another surface boundary, limited moisture, so this will not be a big rain producer, just maybe a shower or two. And then Sunday, the latest guidance here kind of gives us a different look. It stalls out that front over South Alabama. For the moment, we've got sunny and colder weather indicated Sunday, and that would suggest it would be a dry day for North Alabama Sunday, but maybe partly sunny and not as cold as we have indicated. And next week, we're getting your typical model madness here is, exactly how this unfolds. It's kind of hard to identify, but let me clearly say that the North Atlantic Oscillation down there flips strongly negative, and I do think the real window is there for the gates to open up to the Arctic and get some really cold air down in here next week. But let's look at this run. Now, this is the 06Z run. This is Monday, and looks a little different. Got a big trough back off to the west with a southwest flow, and by golly, here comes another deal, kind of like we've got going on today with a warm front pushing north through the state with a chance of heavier rain. And then Tuesday, the polar jet and the southern branch are kind of not in phase with each other. That keeps the cold air out of here, and that suggests a big rain event with no rain or snow. And then on the Wednesday, a broad trough, but not really a sharp trough over the east. But that's in pretty good contrast to the previous runs. This is what the OZ run looked like from last night. Very deep trough, and that suggests a winter storm threat for North Alabama with rain to the south Monday night or Tuesday of next week. And we've seen that look a lot more than what we just showed you from the 06Z run. And really, I'm not that interested in, run-to-run changes. It is way too early in the game for that. But I think the pattern is screaming very cold next week, and that's the thing we ought to be looking at, a sharp change to colder weather. We'll deal with the specifics later. And then out there at the end of the cycle on the 21st, the NAO flips positive, and things should moderate, and that's a good-looking trough, and that looks like it could be fairly wet and stormy. But the bottom line is it looks like we got some very active and interesting times coming up in the weather office. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video today. We'll have notes on the blog, alabamawx.com, if you are watching this through some other source like YouTube or iTunes. And, of course, if you're local, we invite you to watch us on television this evening, ABC 3340 News at 5, 6, and 10. Again, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.